This week's channel message from the angels is another update on where we are in our ascension process right now. And they are explaining to us, reminding us that our perception is our power. That as we are in this ascension process, going through a poly crisis, what a new crisis every other day, it seems, they are reminding us about the strengthening ability that we have to create our own reality. So, welcome back to my channel, you guys. And for those of you who are new here, my name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. I do that by raising my awareness up as high as I can go. I stretch a little higher, I connect, and then messages and healing come through, and I share them here with you guys on YouTube. And this week's message is it's a heavy one. So if you guys are in a state where you're feeling a lot of anxiety, if you're just not ready at the moment to face, really to look at some of the harder things that are going on in the world, then maybe hit the pause button and come back to it at another time. But I would say that it is overall a very uplifting message, that they're not telling us anything that we don't already know in terms of the things that are going on in the world. They're just calling attention to them and broadcasting sort of where they're headed. They are referencing some of the things they told us back in 2020 about the banks closing, about these types, about the earth rift. They are referencing those and talking about them in a little bit more detail in this message. So just use your own judgment if this is going to be a good message for you to hear today or not. All right. So it is, I would say overall, a very uplifting message, because the main point about it is helping us to let go of our attachment to the way things have been, so that we can really be open to allowing some of the wonderful things that are coming to flow into us. So I also want to remind you guys, I have announced I'm doing one-day events around the country, and I have 3 of those up now. I've got New York, Denver, and now I'm just adding Los Angeles. So I'd love it if you are able to join me in those places. The LA venue is a small venue. I liked it just because it was really cute. It's like small and has an outdoor, like a rooftop patio. It's really cool. It's anyways, it's nice. I liked it. But it's not very big, so it's not going to be a ton of tickets available there. And so if you want to go, don't wait. It's not until November 11th. We have plenty of time, but don't wait that long to get your ticket, because there aren't that many tickets available. And I also want to let you know that in each of the cities, I'm offering a very special ticket. I called it the VIP ticket, but let's just call that the very interested person's ticket, the extremely interested in personal growth person, because all of you are VIPs. But this ticket is, I wanted to have an opportunity to have a little more connection, a little more time with those of you who were interested in joining me. And it includes, not only on the day of the event that night, there'll be a maximum of 5 in each group. So there'll be 6 of us, including me. We'll go out to dinner the night before, or the night of the event. And then also 2 days before the event, we will have a Zoom call just for our VIP group. And in that call, I will trans-channel the angels, and you will be able to ask questions and have a direct conversation with them. You guys know I don't do private sessions or small group sessions anymore. So this is something that I'm only making available right now through these VIP tickets. So it's a really cool opportunity if it's something that speaks to you. There is also included with this full access to the entire Angelic Frequency series, which is normally a $500 product for all of these frequencies and the medallion. And anyways, there's a ton of amazing stuff included in this ticket. It's an amazing deal if you add it all up. So if it's something that speaks to you, please don't wait. Like I said, there was only 5 for each city, and some of them have already sold. So anyways, I hope you'll take advantage of it, because I am looking forward to connecting with you guys. All right. So please enjoy today's message. All right. So here's what they say. Within you, there lies an alternate realm of understanding, a different conquered now within which you reframe all that is to your liking, where you are understood and in understanding with one another, where all things lie as they are now, but are seen differently. Things in this realm evolve from now. They take on shape and take on light from this instantiation, a beginning, a next phase of your own, now unfolding. We wish in these times that you are unconquerable in your knowing. You are in a realm of powerful substance, of heavy matter,
an existence not benign in its ability to transform what you know, who you are, how you have become. In these times that are forming, we wish you to stay solid in your understanding that you are empowered, that you are a haven for the soul in your body, that you are safe always. For there is no indignity you will suffer that carries forward beyond this next endowment, that lies with you past your own passing. These things are mere figments of experience. They are trials and terrors that are not long lasting. They are only a glimpse into a world you wish to look in on. See them now as they are, without misgivings. Let the self wander freely in this world with its heaviness. Sense it without solace for some. See how it embroils the many and holds them harnessed to untranquil thoughts. The substance of this unconquerable essence that you are stands undiscovered. We wish now to divulge for your understanding. There are more happenings underway of which we have been warning. There are circumstances in this world, in this life, that are underway. It is a circumstance economic which we previously divulged. Yes, the banks are faltering. We wish for you now to place your hold not the dollar and its essential claim to power. You are impoverished in a land with no banking system. There is now the tendency in this world to count upon they who will govern, to place upon the holds of this era ways and means by which all things will be okay. Shudder to feel the great riotous unpacking that heads their way. We say in these days coming, there will be no hesitation to alter and lie about what circumstances are underway, to keep them from yourselves, to let them stand as they are and benefit they who hold the power. And we would say to yourselves, never fear. For they who have within them a desire for profit and who would harm those who are beheld in the light, or those who are merely waiting, who have never known but are not empowered in this life, they are not assured a victory they could count upon. The world is heralding in great change in these times before you now. The world is unraveling more succinctly. The change must come in. We welcome it, as do yourselves, even though there is risk to yourselves. There is the chance of dishevelment. There is the opportunity to see change before you now. We would not halt these alterations. We would ask the self to merely prepare, but lightly, to stand as you are now, to take a breath, to hold your light high, to be with the self in a place of tranquility. Rest not upon the bridge of suffering that must be felt. Stay there only temporary. Stay there now and then as each pain is felt, and then leave it, a conquered now. Find yourself already there. See that you have bridged what is of pain to many. Sense that you are no longer held within the power of these intrusions. What are they, you ask us? What do we expect? Can we prepare? Are there ways in which we could herald this change and yet remain in safety? And we say, fear nothing. You are always safe. Should we take precautions with our money? We say, in your housing, in your body, to what you lay claim, you have this and always. It will not be a circumstance where the things you count upon for daily living are restricted. You will have what you need always. Fear nothing. Fear not the onslaught of a great drought which claims the many. Fear not the onslaught of the heavens downpouring. Fear not the opening of the great gulf and divide that tears open the surface of this earth and lets all run helter-skelter in the fluid of life outpouring. Feel in these times coming the wash of life tepid and unclaimed, a sense of the self as rising into a future that is beckoning. There are certainly circumstances to behold which are transformative, which erupt at a velocity not felt before. And in these times you will harness the pleasing substance of your own internal reality and shine this forth and sense that where you are is exactly conforming to the landscape of your internal mind. Let that self inside suffer no more. Feel the placated, the pacified self, the gentle soul stirring within who rises to bridge these abnormalities. Sense within your soul a stirring, rising, beginning, letting the self unfold, to trust that now, where all is held in the safety of what was before now, yes, these are no longer counted upon. But what comes, what arrives, is that all that is as it was, but without the tremors that distinguish the haves and have-nots, the centers of instability, the columns that divide people from one another, the temptation to linger farther from the source of your light. These things shall pass, and freely you will rise into the next new morning, and you will feel freedom from that which has held you down. The things we feel important in this life no longer are. They feel as though they are tied to what once was and no longer is. Feel for yourself a change in the nation where you stand, in the senses of the people within it, how people are changing within, internal, how all are beginning to feel the turmoil of this world, a reflection of their soul spirit working through the bridging of these times. And the eruptions, the chaos, the changeability of these workings must be tolerated for some time. Be not long in your understanding of these worldly fixations. Take them in, put them down, and move on. And be ready for the self to be loved, to be felt, to be understood, to be held, to sense that you are all right. You have all you require. All your needs are met. Your daily life goes on, and the changes we herald in that alter the surface of this earth are for yourself, your growth, for the divine light to shine once again in this realm, unfettered by human intervention. Okay. See, I had to do that little warning in the beginning. I had to say it because there is heaviness in here for sure. But it is acknowledging what's going on. Like they're just calling it out. They're bringing it up to our attention and saying, this is what's going on in the world. And they're asking us to be realistic about it, to engage with it, to see it, to acknowledge our feelings about it, and then to just cross that bridge quickly. They say the bridge, the transition, right? When we have every little pain that comes up, we see it, we feel it, we acknowledge, and then we let it go. And we trust. And the whole thing, the whole message, I see this whole message as being about reminding us that the things we think are important in the world as it stands today are not important. And that what's really important is this new essence we're moving into, is the idea that they say at the end, that to be held, to be loved, to be felt by one another, the oneness, the unity is what's important. And the thing that gets us there is our perspective, is not dwelling in the loss, but allowing ourselves to always remember who we really are and what's happening, to stay. And they say it here, that they want us to be unconquerable in our knowing, right? In our knowing that we are actually empowered, that what we see or what we feel inside of us is what we will reflect into our immediate experience. So I feel like we're moving into a place where in the past, like cash is king, and in the current day, right? It's like money runs the world in the current world. But I feel like what they're saying is that in this new way of being, that we're moving into a state of more pure manifestation, more so than I think we've ever experienced, where our internal landscape really does have a massive impact on what shows up in our immediate experience. So that's what they're saying. Your perspective is way more important than your income in this new realm, right? In this new way of being. And I don't know like how long this takes, this unfolding. I feel like we will all get there at different times. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we're like little kernels of popcorn, like we're all going to just pop when we're ready to pop and when it's right for us. But it is, I think the really important message is for us to be aware of what it is we're trying to hold on to during these changes. And what we're trying to hold on to is not what we have thought was important. It is our perspective, right? It's our mind frame is the critical thing. Yeah, our feelings. And you're saying that was beautiful. I'm so glad you think so. I found it seriously hopeful. I think I found it hopeful too. Me too, you guys. Oh, good. I'm so glad you guys feel the same way. Because some of the message, like back in those messages we got back in 2020, some of those were really hard to share. And this one, I feel like I agree with you. I feel like as long as we get our heads around that idea that loss, as we have known it, is not actually loss. And I love that they're saying, you know what? Like, what is it that you really need? Like, you need your basic needs to be met. And that's what we will have, right? And if we release the idea of scarcity, it's only scarcity that makes us think that we need to have a wallet full of cash, because we think, oh gosh, I better save because it's going to be lean times. And I know the world has always been structured that way, that there's always been winter. And there's always been the idea that you grow in the summer and then you hoard it up and you have to, meter it out through the winter. And I get that. Like, there are rhythms and there are paces and stuff like that to life. So I think it's ingrained, I think. But I think what they're really trying to do is to get us as much as we can to rise above that very mammalian perspective up to this higher spiritual perspective, and to recognize that, like, how often is it that you say you need something, you say you want something, and then it just shows up and you don't know where. It's from somewhere totally unexpected, right? And that's the power that we're learning to work with. Yeah. You're saying perspective is more important than income. Wise words. Thank you very much. We're moving into reciprocity. Yes, Rebecca, we are, for sure. Ways in which we can help each other. And Sherry's saying intense and helpful and loving message. Awesome. Yeah, I think so too. I'm so glad you guys feel that way too. And you're saying, good, I'm broke. And it might not matter anymore, right? So we'll just have to see how things unfold. But well, let's break it down paragraph by paragraph and talk through the message. And I think it does help, because this one there's a lot in it, a lot of stuff here. All right. So they say, within you, there lies an alternate realm of understanding, a different conquered now, within which you reframe all that is to your liking. So I think that first paragraph right there sets it off. This is what they're talking about in this message. So it is this getting it back to us and our sense of personal power, and how we then frame our reality, how we end up having exigency, the ability to control, the ability to affect our lives, right? It's within us. There's a realm of understanding. So how are we framing our understanding of the world? How are we receiving the world and what's happening? A different conquered now, within which you reframe all that is to your liking. So, so it's really, really talking about our attitude. Where you are understood and in understanding with one another, where all things lie as they are now, but are seen differently. So it really is about that. How do we see things? Things in this realm evolve from now. They take on shape and take on light from this instantiation, a beginning and next phase of your own now, unfolding. So they're saying it's not like we're going to be plucked from this life and picked up and dropped somewhere else. We are staying here and we're moving through this. It's like all healing. All healing is, you can't just run around it. You got to go through it. So they're saying that the energies that we're moving into, the things that we're trying to create, are starting from now. And then we shift them, we shape them differently because we're feeling differently, because we're different on the inside. Yeah. And you're saying, it's an affirmation to what we are seeing. Yes, absolutely. You're saying if it isn't gold or anything silver or some other named thing, we are the currency that backs it all up. Oh, I love that. Yes, that we are the currency, that it is our internal state. We are learning to work. It's like you have to take the way things have been. And I know it's scary, but you have to take the way things have been and just turn them on their ear. The whole concept of value. And it's not even, I think this is a part that really, where the real difference is, it's not about working with the world in this extremely 3D construct where we have to work with the material, that we're moving to a place where we're working with the energetic and manifesting from a different place. And so, yeah, so I think it's something that we have a hard time accepting, because we have been, and they talk about it here, that we've been in a place that has been dense and been very, very physical, and we've had to work within that reality. Yeah. All right. And all right. So then they say, where was I? Sorry. But I seem to be with this, things in this realm evolve from now. They take on shape and take on light from this instantiation, a beginning, a next phase of your own now unfolding. All right, next paragraph. They say, we wish in these times that you are unconquerable in your knowing. You are in a realm of powerful substance, of heavy matter, an existence not benign in its ability to transform what you know, who you are, how you've become. So they're saying that this first line, we wish that in these times that you are unconquerable in your knowing. So they're recognizing, and I think they use the word unconquerable because it is that sense of overcoming, right? They're recognizing that this is a difficult place to be, and these are difficult times to move through, and that they want us to be in a place that's so solid in our faith in ourselves and our understanding of what we are, right? And they recognize, they're saying that this is a place, a powerful place that we're in, that in terms of anywhere that you could go in the universe, this is one of the hardest. It's a powerful substance, this denseness of this reality of heavy matter is what they call it. An existence not benign. Benign means not, to say it's not benign says it's not gentle, it's not kind, right? The earth has not been a gentle, kind place, right? In its ability to transform what you know, who you are, how you have become. So that's why we came here, is because it's not gentle, because it'll let us see ourselves clearer than anywhere else. Anywhere else we could have gone. All right, they go on to say, in these times that are forming, we wish you to stay solid in your understanding that you are empowered, right? And this is huge because that is the thing we're really fighting against, the fear. When we are in a place where people feel like they're losing things, they feel like they're being disempowered, they feel like a victim, they feel vulnerable, and those are very weak energies. Those are energies that are then going to reflect out into your reality. So that's what they're saying. Stay solid in your understanding that you are empowered, because this is a shift we're trying to move into of seeing it differently. We have to release that old understanding. And I know it is hard to do. It's sort of like, well, I'll trust it once it happens. Once I see it, then I'll believe it. I so relate to that, because I will tell you guys, like, I remember there was times when I was like, oh, well, I will make this big change in my life once everything is settled and done on the new, like, I want to take this new path. I'll do it as soon as the new path is working, and then I can give up. It's like, should I quit my old job? Well, not until I know I have a new job in hand. That's the smart way. We've always been told, like, that's don't burn your bridges, right? Don't quit until you know you have something else lined up. And that's not the way it works from an angel perspective or from an energy perspective. What they say is, and this is so true about whenever I do healings for people, that you have to free up energy before the new thing will work at all. So, and I remember them kind of like giving me the, like a wake up kick. And they're like, you're waiting until the new thing is formed before you change the old thing that's holding you back. And they say, until you change the old thing, you will never have the energy to make the new thing happen. And so you have to just jump into the abyss. You've got to jump. And it's not fun. It's not a happy thought. You're like, oh, I kind of like it when I know where I'm landing. And that's not how it works from an energy perspective. It's just not the way we've been trained in our 3D reality. We've been trained to build a platform before we jump, because otherwise we fall and it hurts. And that's not how it works in energy. It is all about how much energy we have to work with. And if we are still maintaining an old structure, we don't have energy for the new structure. So the new structure can't work. Yeah. And so it's anyway, so we need to, keeping reading here, they stay solid in your understanding that you are empowered, that you are a haven for the soul in your body, that you are safe always, for there is no indignity you will suffer that carries forward beyond this next endowment. So they're really talking about here that everything we experience on earth, that from our cosmic self, from our higher self perspective, our life on earth is that fast. It is a blink. It is like one dream. It is so quick. And they're saying that whatever that happens to us here doesn't follow us. When we leave this life, all that stuff, all that, the hardship, the trauma, the whatever it was, doesn't exist anymore. It's like waking up from a dream. It was like, oh, that was a weird dream. Like that, except that we have all the learning, we have all the stuff that hopefully we grew. Like that's what we get to take with us. So there's no indignity you will suffer that carries forward beyond this next endowment, that lies with you past your own passing. These things are mere figments of experience. They are trials and terrors that are not long lasting. They are, I love this next line, they are only a glimpse into a world you wished to look in on. See them now as they are, without misgivings. So it's really as much as we possibly can, taking that spiritual perspective about our lives and seeing all the hardship as it's just a breath, right? You just got to get through it. This is there for your learning, to see it as something you chose, to see it as something that is for you, that there are gifts in everything, and to recognize that, to recognize and try our best to see what those gifts are, and try to see ourselves anytime we're triggered, to always bring it back to, okay, how am I growing here? What is this telling me, right? Because there's always something in it for us. And you're saying, I need this so much, so much confirmation. I literally just quit my job, and the way you explained it is exactly my state of mind. Oh, that is so, congratulations, by the way. And that is awesome. You say, I can totally speak to leap and we will catch you. Yeah, that's it. That is it. And that's what it takes, because it is a process of, it's sort of like, how do we create this new reality if we're still clinging desperately to what was, right? Putting all our energy on that. How do we have any energy left over to create something brand new? Yeah. And it's been true in my life over and over and over again, by the way. Like, it just is. Yeah. All right. So next paragraph, they say, or did we go through all of that? I think we did. We did. Okay, next paragraph. They say, let the self wander freely in this world with its heaviness. Sense it without solace for some. See how it embroils the many and holds them harnessed to the untranquil thoughts. The substance of this unconquerable essence that you are stands undiscovered. So they're saying that you can wander. They're asking you to be present, to be aware, and to wander free and feel safe. This world can't harm you, even though, right, it's heavy. That where for some people there is no solace in this world, that they're really stuck in their junk and they just can't find their way out. And they're saying that is true. And they're saying, see how it embroils them and holds them, right? They're harnessed to their negative thoughts, right? The substance of this unconquerable essence that you are, they're saying for them, it stands undiscovered. And they're saying this is all true. And yet you can wander through it freely, right? And why is that? Because of your perspective, because of you holding this awareness, right? It can't hurt you because you are creating your own reality. All right, next paragraph, they say, we wish now to divulge for your understanding, there are more happenings underway of which we have been warning. So here's what they're getting into, is back in, I think it was in 2020, we had several messages about the economy, some of which have been happening. Like they talked about, we wouldn't be able to process payments any longer. And that happened in a huge way with the Russia's invasion, where they were shut out of the SWIFT banking system, and they couldn't, the whole country couldn't process payments. Visa and MasterCard were cut off. So, I mean, there was a significant portion of the human population where this has already happened. But these are energies. They've also said that these things they talked about pop up in different places. So it's been happening. And that part of it may happen some more. We don't know. But specifically, this is about, and they did talk about US banks closing in the message. They were very specific about it happening in the US. So, okay, where was I? Yeah, things that underway, which we have been warning. There are circumstances in this world, in this life, that are underway. It is a circumstance economic which we previously divulged. Yes, the banks are faltering. We wish for you now to place your hold upon not the dollar and its essential claim to power. And that's interesting. They said don't hold on to the dollar and its claim to power. So another one of their messages that they gave us, I don't know when, maybe a year or so ago or 2 years ago, I don't know, but they said that the U.S. would lose its political hegemony. That was their word. And yes, it was an angel word of the day. So if you're building your vocabulary, we can keep that one in there. But it was about how the U.S. hegemony is like their political influence, the U.S.'s political power around the world. And they said the U.S. would lose their political power around the world. And I think there was multiple pieces to this, one of which is the fact that the dollar would no longer be the global currency. And we saw this happen. It happened same thing with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, that when they were cut off from SWIFT, when there were all the sanctions. So prior to that, the US had managed to make all global dealings, all oil purchases were done in dollars. Well, when Russia was cut off, they did the first deal. They signed a deal with Japan, or not Japan, but with Russia, selling Russia oil, and they insisted that it be done in rubles. And this was a first. And this was the first of several deals. And it was the first in a movement away from using the US dollar as the global currency. So the big impact of that And I am not an economist, so I'm just telling you my layperson's understanding. And so those of you who are economists could probably add a lot more depth to this. But my simple understanding is that so that shifted things, that when the world is buying oil in dollars, then all the different countries in the world have to have a reserve of US dollars with which to pay for their energy needs. And when deals are no longer done in dollars, well, they don't need those dollars anymore. And they start to have a balance of maybe other currencies that they need to buy. If they want to buy Russian oil, they got to have rubles or whatever it is. So what do they do with all those dollars? Well, they start selling them back to the US, right? And then the US has lots and lots of dollars. And already the US has been printing lots and lots of dollars. So what does this do to the dollar, right? So all of a sudden, the US, like right now, one of the things that keeps the US strong is that, well, we have a monetary crisis, or we're running into a debt crisis, or we haven't approved the new budget for the government. Well, let's just print some more money. We're just crank out more money because we control all the money. Well, if we don't have that ability, then we are up, in dire straits, up a creek, dire straits. So that's part of the big shift as I understand it. The other big shift is, you guys know, they have talked about a splitting of the United States, that there's along political lines, north, south, that kind of thing, that the US would no longer stand as one nation. And there are weird ripples about that happening. Like has anybody heard of Texit, like Brexit, but Texit, like where Texas has like a bill talking about accessing, and Florida's talking about, who knows if that will gain any traction. It's just, I was shocked to hear about it recently. And it made me think of that. So anyways, the US loses its political hegemony is the thing that they have said. And here they are saying, we wish for you now to place your hold not upon the dollar and its essential claim to power, right? And so I don't think that means that they're not giving us economic advice here. They're trying to explain the happenings in the world. And I think to not assume that things are going to stay the way they always have been. That's how I see it. And then they do add this piece of it. They say, you are impoverished in a land with no banking system. And that's an intense line right there. And I don't think that means that we will have no banking system. I mean, I have to interpret that, and I'm limited in my little human body. I don't know. You are impoverished in a land with no banking system. Well, it could mean that that there's the difficulty with the banking system, or that we would be impoverished without a banking system. It's, who knows, however you read that. I know that they had said in the previous channeling that when they talked about the banks closing, they said that we would get our money back. So it would be like an FDIC insurance thing. But here in this message, they're also making it sound like it doesn't matter in the long run. So I think this is more of an understanding that that with the dollar, it's sort of like that things that we have counted upon, the dollar being a thing, the dollar being a source of global power, is that no longer being the case, and how disruptive that will be. And I think that's what they're really referring to here, is that we should prepare or have in our minds the possibility that there could be a significant underrooting, of pulling the rug out from underneath all the power systems that exist. And I think that's what they're talking about here more than anything. So I don't see this as individual advice for us as people. I see this as a comment on the global scene about how things are unfolding and how they could unfold going forward. And you're saying, I'm starting to see the possible split. Nuts. Yeah, you've seen it too. What state are you in? I'm curious if you've just seen it in the news or whatever about the US splitting. Yeah, it is crazy. There is a movement here in the Northwest too called Cascadia, which is where they call this Cascade region, where it's like the Washington, Oregon, and parts, I think might be part of Northern California, whatever is included in this Cascadia, this idea of this new country. But that was a thing that people laughed about in the past. And now you're hearing about it like as if it's a thing. So these are weird times for sure, you guys. All right, so then next paragraph, they say, there is now the tendency in this world to count upon they who will govern to place upon the holds of this era ways and means by which all things will be okay. And they're saying there's a tendency for us to just trust that things are going to work out, that we're going to trust the people who are in power to figure it out, and that everything will be all right, and we'll be able to just continue on as we have been. And they're saying, shudder to feel the great riotous unpacking that heads their way. They're saying to the people who are in charge. They're basically saying, I love it, shudder to feel the great riotous unpacking. So like, in other words, it is major changes that are very unexpected. They say, we say in these days coming, there will be no hesitation to alter and lie about what circumstances are underway. So these are harsh words from the angels. I don't think they have ever used the word lie. Like they tend to see everybody in the most charitable circumstances. They are without judgment. And to say that something is a lie seems like a judgmental thing to say, except there is a truth to it. Like, you can say something that is knowingly false and it is in fact a lie. It's not an opinion that that's a lie. It's like, this is in fact, they are, deliberately lying. But it is from an angel. I feel like that's part of the reason I kind of pause on this message, is that they get kind of hot and heavy with some of what they're saying here. That there will be no hesitation to alter and lie about what circumstances are underway to keep them from yourselves. And I think they're telling us this because they told us in a previous message that there was things happening beneath the surface which were being held, that we were unaware of. And I think that's what they're referring to here. That all of this stuff, like, we see the ripples, they're trying desperately to try to hold things together, and maybe they will be able to. Maybe it's just that I see them, they're kind of in a catch-22, where if they don't raise the interest rates, we will have a terrible recession or depression. If they lower the interest rates, if they lower the interest, we have a recession. If they raise them, then the banks may fail. So it's like they're in an impossible place. They have to, I don't know how they're going to figure it out. But the message here is that they're going to do their best to keep it from us. And they say to let them stand as they are, to let the events stand as they are, and to benefit they who hold power. So who benefits by keeping things in place, keeping things as they are? The people who currently are in power benefit the most. And we would say to yourselves, never fear, for they who have within them a desire for profit and who harm those who are held in the light, or those who are merely waiting, who have never known but are not empowered in this life, they are not assured the victory they would count upon. So they're saying there is no judgment, right? They're not saying that the people who have done well in this life are bad people, because you know that in different incarnations, we have all been that person. We've all been the murderer. We've always been, we've all been the Wall Street guy. We've all been all these different people. They're all us. So they're not saying there's no judgment to it, but they are saying, in terms of just us being aware, that we shouldn't necessarily trust the news. Don't necessarily understand that there could be things that are coming out that are not truthful. And then to understand that that the ones who are in power may be assuming that they can pull the same levers and do the same things to try to keep things as they are. But in this time around, they're saying they are not assured the victory they would count upon. And that's really what they're trying. That's really, I guess, as harsh as they will get. They won't have the same, it's not going to turn out the way it's always turned out. Yeah. And you're saying, I'm in Indiana. I don't watch the news, but I have been seeing a lot of changes coming from the South. Yeah, I would totally agree. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? All right. Okay, next paragraph. The world is heralding in great change in these times before you now. The world is unraveling more succinctly. So succinctly, another word of the day is compact, precise, in its expression, brief or curt. So it's, in other words, it's happening like it's coming in fast and clear, is what they're saying. The change, it must come in. We welcome it, as do yourselves, even though there is risk to yourselves. There is the chance of dishevelment. There is the opportunity to see change before you now. We would not halt these alterations. So they're acknowledging, yep, it's going to be a topsy-turvy time, and they wouldn't change it because it's going to be for the best. That is, that we want to let go of what was. They go on to say, it's like leaving that bad job, right? You might feel like it's safer to hang on to it, but they're saying, nope, we wouldn't change it. We wouldn't change the leap. You got to take the leap. All right. Then they go on to say, we would ask the self to merely prepare, but lightly. And so they're saying they don't want us to be in the energy of panic where we're running around trying to what do I need to do? Because the thing is that we can never know what's coming. There's no amount of preparing that will prepare us for everything. So starting to prepare puts you in this crazy spiral of anticipation and fear. And that's what they do not want. So they say, certainly to a degree, like, and they told us before, have a certain amount of cash on hand. Because if the bank's closed, you want to be able to go out and buy stuff. And we don't know how long it may, if it closes, we don't know how long it would close for. So you just want to have enough cash on hand so that you'll be all right. It doesn't have to be a lot. Look at your household expenses, right? It should be in proportion to what you need. And it doesn't have to be forever. It's for a period of time. But just to have that, and if anything, because it makes you feel a little safer. And that's the main reason. It doesn't have to be a ton of money. It's literally like, how much do you really need to, a little gas, a little groceries. It doesn't have to be a lot. Prepare but lightly. And then big ones, you guys know, they've always said, I just reiterate it because they said it so many times, is a way to purify your water. And then some backstock of food, not a ton, like a bag of rice and beans is cool, just enough, like just some, so that you can be like, okay, I'm good. Like if I can't get into the grocery store next week, I'm not going to be without. It's all you got to do, right? And they say, so prepare but lightly, to stand as you are now, to take a breath, to hold your light high, to be with the self in a place of tranquility. Rest not upon the bridge of suffering that must be felt. I love that. I love that line. Rest not upon the bridge of suffering that must be felt, because it really gets to the idea that this is a pathway to something else, that it is a bridge of suffering. The suffering is the way there, right? It's a bridge. The suffering creates a bridge. And they say, don't stay on that bridge. It has to be felt, but don't stay there. Stay there only temporary. Stay there now and then stay there now and then as each pain is felt, and then leave it a conquered now. So they're not saying you have to bypass it. Like, acknowledge the things that are hard, acknowledge the tough moments, and then let it go and trust that, okay, this is going to be, I don't know what's coming. I'm in the abyss, but it's going to be good, right? Find yourself there already. So this is about that perspective. See yourself in the good place already. See that you have bridged what is, see that you have bridged what is of pain to so many. Sense that you are no longer held within the power of these intrusions. So it's really, what is our internal state of feeling, our internal state of thought, and manage that as best you can. Like, get over that, acknowledge your pain, release it, and move on. All right, next paragraph. What are they? So here they're kind of going through, like, what's the questions that are running through our mind? They say, what are they, you ask us? What do we expect? Can we prepare? Are there ways in which we could herald this change and yet remain in safety? And we say, fear nothing. You are always safe. Should we take precautions with our money? And here's that big question. We say, in your housing, in your body, to what you lay claim. You have this and always. So they're saying the money is this that matters, right? This is the only thing that matters, is your body. Like, this is your house right here. And this is what matters. And can you maintain this? Can you provide for this? Can this be held in a place of peace, right? And that's all you really care about. And they're saying, to what you lay claim, you have this and always. It will not be a circumstance where the things you count upon for daily living are restricted. So you will have what you need to maintain this, right? What you have, what you need, you will have what you need always. Therefore, fear nothing. So it's a huge shift away from what our society has prioritized, right? Do you have the latest, trendy sneakers? No, but you have this. Yeah, you have what matters. And so it's that idea of to let go of the things that we think might be important and to focus on what really matters, right? The spiritual perspective of what really matters. And they're saying, yeah, you will have what you need. And that is certainly a feeling. Like, I remember there was some guy who traveled around the world with nothing, counting on the kindness of strangers. And he would just go from place to place to place and then see what happened. He did that for some really long period of time, like a year. And he went through some very poor countries where there just wasn't that much, and also through wealthy countries. I think he went to a lot of different places, and he was always okay. He always had what he needed. He was always okay. So I think it's just an interesting thing when we free ourselves from the idea that we have to control. All right, next paragraph. They go on to say, fear not, and they touch on some of the difficult things. They say, fear not the onslaught of a great drought, which claims the many. Fear not the onslaught of the heavens downpouring. Fear not the opening of the great gulf and divide that tears open the surface of this earth and lets all run helter-skelter in the fluid of life outpouring. So this is very tough. And this gets to some of the messages they gave us in the past about the earth rift, which was a message that came through, I think, in 2020. And they talk about the heavens downpouring. I think that's one of the reasons they keep emphasizing have a way to purify your water, because if there is massive rain, which I think is what they've been talking about, lots and lots and lots and lots of rain, that kind of flooding can mess with the water table, with the water systems, And so our water systems might be contaminated. So you just want to have a way to clean your water. Okay, next paragraph. And you're saying, powerful, thank you so much, sweet Anne, thank you. Holding the love light brightly, get extra animal food for your baby, sending you all love. Thank you, Verena. Yes, you're saying a cowboy's life for me. That's awesome. All right, so then they go on to say, feel in these times coming, this is interesting, a wash of life tepid and unclaimed. So, wow, like they have some doozies just in one line, right? Feel in these times coming the wash of life tepid and unclaimed. So, in other words, like there are many, many, many souls out there that are leading a life tepid and unclaimed, that are not engaged in their life, that are living life at half-mast, right? That have no passion, have no joy, that are not working on themselves, that are not, that are numbing themselves through life, right? And the idea here is we can't have that anymore. Like it's a wash of that. Like that has to change, right? A sense of the self as rising into a future that is beckoning. There are certainly circumstances to behold which are transformative. So they're saying they're not gonna, what do you call it, brush over it. That there's a lot of change on the horizon. And it's like that awesome where the poly crisis. Like there have been so many crazy things going on that it's one after another, that it's not just like what's the latest headline. It is the poly crisis. It's crisis after crisis after crisis. Yeah. Which are, they say that circumstances to behold which are transformative, which erupt with a velocity not felt before. And in these times, you will harness the pleasing substance of your own internal reality, right? And shine this forth and sense that where you are is exactly conforming to the landscape of the internal mind, right? So they're really spelling it out here. They're saying that in the crazy times, things erupting, transformative, chaos, and in these times, you will harness the pleasing substance of your internal reality. So this is like they're saying you will be manifesting your reality. And they've said in a long time, like there may be chaos outside, but what's happening inside your four walls? What's happening in your reality? This is not tied to that you control this, right? And they say, and shine this forth, your internal reality, shine this forth and sense that where you are is exactly conforming to the landscape of your internal mind, right? So that's hugely empowering, which is the whole point of this message, is to say that you hold the power, right? That your mind frame, that your presence is your power. Yeah. They say, let that self inside suffer no more. So this is big. It's like choosing not to suffer, because when you choose to suffer, you stay on that bridge, right? And they want you to cross the bridge and get to the place where you are projecting into the world a positive experience for yourself, right? They said, and they go on to say, feel the placated, the pacified self, the gentle soul stirring within, who rises to bridge these abnormalities. So placated, pacified, they both mean like less angry or hostile, soothed, calm, less agitated. So I think this is like, look about how much anger there's been in the world. And one of the big things that we've been trying to clear with everything has been anger. That's been a big deal, is trying to clear anger. Same thing with the amount of anxiety people that's been coming up, and people trying to clear their anxiety recently, right? And you're saying drunkenness and drug abuse of all sorts just won't do it anymore. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And because it detaches us from our reality. Yeah, it's numbing. And the point here is to feel. Yeah. So, okay, they go on to say, sense within your soul a stirring, rising, beginning, letting the self unfold, to trust that now, where all is held in the safety of what was before now, yes, these are no longer counted upon. So this is really that whole idea. All the things we think have been important are really not important. And the sooner we release it, the better. The sooner we release holding on to those things, the better. But what comes, what arrives, is that all is as it was, but without the. So they're saying it's going to look the same at first because it's coming from the place where we are right now. It's birthed here. They're saying, but without the tremors that distinguish between the haves and have-nots, the centers of instability, the columns that divide people from one another, the temptations to linger farther from the source of your own light. So I feel like these four things right here, the way they say them one after another, is so insightful. They're saying the tremors. So they're really talking about what separates us from the connection that we're trying to get to. And they're saying that distinguish between the haves and have-nots, the centers of instability. So this idea of haves and have-nots is inherently unstable, right? It creates a dynamic of polarization, which pulls things apart, and we're trying to get to unity, right? It is an unstable circumstance. And so they're saying the call is this whole idea of division. I like how they're linking division and instability. And it makes a ton of sense, because why else do we have war? You know what I mean? Like, it comes from the sense of division, from, okay, this is mine and this is yours, and don't cross my boundary. And, you know, think about two kids in the back seat and he's on my side. You know what I mean? It's like, if we're all just one, peace in the back seat. So dividing people from one another, right? Instabilities, the columns that divide people from one another, the temptations to linger farther from the source of your own light. And that's all the things that pull us away from our light. So that is the addiction energy, right? All right, these things shall pass, and freely you will rise into the next new morning, and you will feel freedom from that which held you down. Love that. All right, next paragraph. And they say here at point blank, the things that feel important in this life no longer are. It's like they just couldn't say it any clearer. The things that feel important in this life no longer are. They feel as though they are tied to what once was and no longer is. So I like that they're saying that, because it is, I think that we'll get to a place where it will be easy to let it go, where it'll feel like it doesn't matter. And it won't, it's sort of like having a currency that is not in circulation anymore. And like at one point you were like, oh, should I still, like, I think I still have some like old French francs, like from before there was a euro, you know, I think I still, I'm just like, oh, but it was valuable once. Like, should I just throw it in the garbage? Like, what do I do with this? And I think that is I think you get to a place where it's like, no, that's just paper, right? They feel as though they are tied to what was and no longer is. You just chuck it. Feel for yourself a change in the nation where you stand. So saying, look around you now in the senses of the people within it, how people are changing within, internal, how all are beginning to feel the turmoil of this world, a reflection of their soul spirit working through the bridges of the bridging of these times. And the eruptions, the chaos, the changeability of these workings must be tolerated for some time. So this, they're really saying that the craziness that we're seeing in the world is directly related. So how all are beginning to feel the turmoil of this world. It is a reflection of their internal working through what's happening. It's their internal like healing, that basically all the craziness we see is a reflection of the craziness inside, and that we are all being pressured by the energies that are hitting the planet, everything that's happening right now that is forcing us to deal with our internal polarization, our internal judgment, our anger, our anxiety. All of that is coming up for us to see it, and that is being reflected in the world with all the craziness that's happening, right? All are beginning to feel the turmoil of this world, a reflection of their soul spirit working through the bridging to get to the new reality, the bridging of these times. And the eruptions, the chaos, the changeability of these workings must be tolerated for some time. Yeah, because we have to get through it. Yeah, and they go on to say, be not long in your understanding of these worldly fixations. So saying, don't dwell on it. Take them in, put them down, and move on. They're saying that don't ignore it. Don't deny it. Don't deny your feelings. Acknowledge your feelings. Say, yep, I know I'm scared. You know, acknowledge it. I know it's hard to let that go. And like, feel it, and then acknowledge it and say, but okay, I'm choosing to trust that I'm heading into something more beautiful. I'm choosing to be open to perceive the new possibilities. Yeah. And be ready. I love this part. Take them in, put them down, move on, and be ready for the self to be loved, to be felt, to be understood, to be held. And this is really, that's where our focus needs to be, we have to be open to feel it. Like, we can't feel love unless our heart is open to receive it. Like, there's so many times we think, oh, I need someone to fill the hole, but it's not that. It's the love may be all around you. And if the heart is closed, you'll never feel it. So here it is, that be ready, right? Be ready to be loved, to feel the self-love, to be felt, to be understood, to be held, to sense that you are all right, that you have all you require. All your needs are met. Your daily life goes on. So very reassuring. And the changes we herald in that alter the surface of this earth are for yourself, for your growth, for the divine light to shine once again in this realm unfettered by human intervention. So, I mean, one of the things I love about this is that they're saying for the divine light to shine again unfettered. So they're not saying that what was like, there's this idea of like judgment day that we're going to go through, that like God is angry because we had a gift and we spoiled it by eating the apple. And now we have to, suffer and suffer and suffer. And he's going to cleanse us on that. I do not believe. Like, I see this as being a natural process. If we went through a density, because through a density, there's learning, right? But now we're getting to a place where that density is healing and changing, and we're moving into a new reality where there's going to be more light in the world, because this is a different experience that the earth is ready to have and we are ready to have with it. So it's not saying there's a total absence of judgment. Like, judgment, doesn't exist here. They're just saying this is what it was and this is what it is. And the sooner we move into what it is, the sooner we get to enjoy that place, right? And that's where we're headed. So, and in this new place, we experience more divine love, and there's less of our human imposition on that love, right? It's just a change into how things will be. Yeah. And you're saying, hi, great to see you. Thanks for joining. And you're saying so much to think about. We say it over to believe it. Yeah, I think so too. It's hard to absorb a lot of this stuff. I agree. It's hard to imagine what it'll be. And so I think that's what they're saying. They're saying, like, just be present in your life. And they say, if you're going to prepare, do so, but do it lightly. And then be open to feeling love, to feeling accepted, to feeling all those good thoughts, and to stay there and recognize, right, that our consciousness, that our awareness, our perception is how we are empowered. Like, that's how we create in this new reality. And you're saying the notion of status from those who appear high above are brought to the ground from the rest of us who are all around. And you're saying, yes, currency of time and attention. Oh, I love that. Currency of time and attention. Yeah, beautiful. And yeah, it is a big shift. And I don't think in that, like, if you look at those who are in power, to remember that was us, like that was you, that was me. We've all been there. As a matter of fact, I know, because it came through in a channeling once. I know I had a life once where I was in a place where, some ancient civilization somewhere where there was the equivalent of a run on the banks. And I tried in that life, to save money to cover people. But I remember that basically the people were robbed. And I was there, and I was in a position of power in that life, but I was powerless to do anything about it. And so I went through it once before. That came through in a channeling once. It's like, yeah, you've seen this before. And here you are, you get to see it again. But in this life, I'm in a different position. But anyways, lots of us have been there. We've been the person holding the purse strings, and we've been the person with no power. And it's just part of the journey and learning and experiencing and seeing things from every angle, right? Of becoming a deeper, richer understanding of what we really are and how we're going to respond in all these different circumstances. So yeah. So anyways, I think it was an amazing message. And I was really happy when I channeled it yesterday, came back and read it this morning, and I'm like, oh, phew, it is uplifting. Yeah. So anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me. You're saying overcome with gratitude for these angel messages. Oh, thank you, Sherry. So we shall have what we need. Spirit directed me here. I'm humbled beyond words. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And it is through this connection, as we're all experiencing and understanding and taking in these messages together, I think it's one thing we can do in terms of helping to shift the consciousness, right? Is if we can hold a different perspective, then that then informs the collective, right? Helps to alter the collective. So it's awesome that we do this together. So, and for those of you who joined late, I want to let you know, I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. I am getting ready. I'm talking about my one-day healing events I'm going to be doing around the country, around the US. I've already got up New York and Denver. I'm getting ready to put up Los Angeles today. Now, Los Angeles is going to be November 11th. I know it's far away, but it's a small venue. So if you want to go, please get a ticket, because there's not that many tickets, because I picked a smaller venue because I liked it, because it was cute, and it has an upstairs, it has a rooftop patio, and it's cute. So that's where we're going to be. And anyways, it's in Santa Monica. And I also want to let you know that for every city, there are 5 special tickets if you feel called, where there's a whole bunch of cool stuff involved in these 5 tickets. One of which is that night, the night after the big thing, and then we will have the 5 of us, or 6 of us, including me. We'll go out to a really nice dinner together and have a fun dinner together. There's also, and the like 2 days before the event, there's going to be a Zoom call for the 6 of us, where I will trans-channel the angels, and you will be able to ask questions and have direct dialogue with the angels, which they're great at. If you can have a, you can just talk with them, and they're incredibly helpful. And then you also get the entire angelic frequency series as part of it. So if you look at all the things that are included in this, it's a phenomenal deal. So yeah, so anyways, there's only 5 in every city. I just think it's going to be super fun. So if you'd like to do it, some of them have already sold. So if you want to do it, don't wait on that one. And they are up on, if you go to my website, anntucker.com/events, and I will have the LA one up very quickly. So I need to do a couple more things. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. You're saying, looking forward to hearing the message, but surprised that it was ending as I came up at the usual time. Oh, we're daylight savings time here. So we are an hour shifted. So sorry about that. Yeah, you must be coming in from elsewhere in the world. But yeah, US is daylight savings right now. So we're still 10 a.m. Pacific, but it's just a moving target. Thanks, you guys. Have a great weekend. Sending you lots of love, and I will see you next time.